Hi, and welcome to episode 33 of The Sages... Let's start again.
I'm keeping that.
Right, start it again. Hi, and welcome to episode 33 of The Sages Retreat podcast, where we like to discuss games, films, and anything else, Dad, or that takes our interest in general. Today we are going to have a slight change. Last week we recorded a mega long film review, and we decided to cut off the beginning and insert it here for your viewing pleasure. We are going to have a quick look at the history of the VHS format and also a side note on CRT TVs. I can never say that right. Hopefully you enjoy it, and we'll get back to you at the end where Lee is going to make me choose between some films I like. And as always, I'm your host Nathan, and this is my co-host Lee.
Hi.
Yep. So, how's it hanging, Lee?
Short, shriveled. Wait, did you write that in? No, that's not how it's hanging. It's hanging fine, like normal. Absolutely fine. Worn out. That's how it's hanging. Not from the good stuff. Exactly. I don't even know what I'm on about now.
No.
Things are all good. I'm currently sitting here. We're obviously recording this. It's very different flow with our normal podcast. We're not going to stretch it out. We're gonna do our intro. We'll have a little bit at the end, and then something different in the middle. It's going to be jarring because there's going to be three of us when we cut as well. So if you suddenly go, "What's that voice?" It is someone new. If you're watching the video, you'll see it, but if you're listening to the audio, you'll be like, something's a bit weird there. It'll just sound totally different. Sound. Working hard like normal. I've got a brilliant new genre of music I've been listening to, which I haven't mentioned. It's not like, oh my God, I'm so obsessed, but I came across it. I was downstairs and Holly was on YouTube and she was flicking through. You know, sometimes kids put music on YouTube and that, and it's like, what are you doing? If there's a random video maybe I want to watch, I'll put it on. But if not, I generally use Spotify, or I've got a vinyl speaker amplifier set up. I like to listen to stuff on there. Even plugging in my phone, Spotify, to my amplifier and then pumping out the speakers is so good. It just sounds so nice. I really quite enjoy doing that. And so I came across, she was listening to some crappy emotional music, some probably saw on TikTok or something. All the cool kids are listening to, and then underneath it was suggesting something else. There was some like synthwave stuff on there, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. I quite like that. I like that flow, that vibe that it gives off. Quite relaxing. It's raining quite heavily here as well, so if anyone can hear that is raining. Hopefully the noise reduction will take it out, but you might be able to pick it up.
It might relax them if they can hear it.
Maybe. It is nice. We could have rain in the background of all the podcasts. That could be our trademark.
Yeah, well, we live in England, so we basically have rain all the time anyway, don't we? So.
Pretty much, yeah. Although I've just walked home from work, and so I've managed to miss the rain, so I'm quite grateful of that. Thank you. Although walking to work, I did catch a little bit of it. And everyone's like, oh my God, is it raining? I'm like, 3 spots, and they all landed on me. You know that when you've got a top that shows up the rain quite violently? It's this kind of orangish jumper I have on, and it was like this little sort of like dark orange stripes on me. I was like, it's just started, and it's not too bad. So this music, I don't think you'd guess it. If you was to pick a decade, genre, and country, what would you pick? A wild guess of what I've been listening to.
A wild guess for yours. I'm going to say 1940s Filipino jazz.
I'm going to look that up just in case it's an actual thing, but no, it was all wrong. Although there's a guy at work who sometimes gets stressed, and we've discovered that putting jazz music on chills him out. And you know what? It's quite nice to listen to as well, especially if it's a lot of that jazz which you've heard before. But when you put like a Spotify playlist, it's always a mix of like stuff you know. And then it's like, it introduces you, doesn't it, to new stuff, and it gives you, it's like, oh, this is interesting. It kind of hooks you in a little bit. It's one of the good things about Spotify. There's plenty of bad things about Spotify. That's definitely one of the good things about Spotify. No, it's 1980s Japanese pop music. I know what you're thinking. What?
Yeah.
Does that
why do you like that? What's?
I'm gonna say I'll link. I will definitely link you a Spotify playlist, and if I feel like it, I'll put one in the description of the podcast. But it's really chilled, and it gives you that, you know, like when you'd listen to or you'd watch some old school kind of anime. You know, you have that. Sometimes you have the music. It kind of pulls in. It has this real relaxed vibe. A lot of it is interjected with some English as well, because a lot of countries had that thing where they wanted to make it. They wanted to push their stuff into the Western market. That was my phone going off. I normally mute my phone. That was Ben giving his lovely. His thing that you and him do a lot is where you give like a notification that you've seen something. It's very annoying having to pick up my phone 10 times a day because you've just gone. Yeah, but I'd like to just.
Is it the beer? Is it the beer mugs?
It is the beer mugs. Yeah. So he said,
well, if he's listening to this, I've had a go at him today for doing that. Because that would do in my edit.
So I'll tell you what, I've never really spoke about this because it's one of those. I think things that everyone has something that annoys them, which is so petty that they just have to put it to one side because they know how much of an idiot they are. One thing that someone mentioned it on Facebook, and I'm like, that's me, but I never really say anything about it. So when you've had a conversation with somebody and you know that the conversation is done, and you've gone, yeah, that's a sound idea, whatever, that's good, I agree, and you leave it. But then 10 minutes later, someone gives you a notification of them agreeing, and I'm like, you didn't need to agree. I didn't need that, but I've had to go because I have to. I'm an addict. I have to take my phone out of my pocket to look at everything. But also you're the same. Having children, you get into this thing. It's kind of lured you in, is it? Where you always have to check your phone in case it's something important. Because sometimes your kids will post or give you a message where they should have called you, maybe. Or it'll be something going off and you need to... So I'm always taking and about 10 times a day I have to take my phone out of my pocket because one of you two... And Ben's really bad for it. He'll do like the notification thing, the beer thing, which is fine. I like the beer thing. I think it's great. But sometimes it's not needed. I'm like, let me just have a look. And what was it for? It might even be... So yeah, you've said something and then he's gone, yeah? And it's like, I won't read what it is. And I'm like, maybe... What wouldn't be so bad is, instead of the beer thing... or a thumbs up or whatever, 2 or 3 words. That's, great idea. We'll discuss it more later. Just something. It's like a weird pet hate that I don't need to have, but it's one of those things that bugs me. And I don't think I'm alone. I think there's a lot of people as well, but it's fine. It's just... this part of the podcast is called Lee's Jabber, and it literally is me jabbering about stuff that doesn't even matter. But you understand what I mean, don't you? I hope. But yeah. So anyway, listen.
Just don't take your Facebook Messenger.
Listen to some 80s Japanese pop.
Oh, well,
and you know what? It's like it takes me back to. It's just like kind of like that background music that you might have somewhere, and it's great. It's just you don't need to think about it. It's quite chilled out. But like I say, it has the odd bit of English. Some of it I have recognised as well. I've been like, I know that. I don't know the artist or the track title, but I recognise it, and I've looked and I've gone, I know that. I know it from either somewhere or sometime that I heard it. But yeah, so I've been tormenting people at work with 80s Japanese pop music. The one guy last night, I was like, right, I'm going to put his music on. I need you to tell me the decade, the country, and I need to tell me the genre. He got the genre, and he said the 70s, and I'm like, I don't know how you didn't get Japanese. Because it stands out, doesn't it, as a language? There are some languages, but it's kind of they flow into each other a little bit, and sometimes it's easier to get them confused. But Japanese, I feel, is very, very strong, and you often catch a word. It's like, that's definitely Japanese. How are you?
I'm good. Tired as always, because I have to get up very early.
I like to think we should just write that on here. Nathan's tired. Let's tell everyone first.
Yeah, because I'm tired. Because that's basically my state of mind all the time. Is tired.
Let me see your T-shirt.
I've got Star Wars.
Let's just describe it. It's a Death Star with an ET style bike going up with Yoda in the front and Darth Vader riding the bike. I like that. It's quite good. That.
Yeah.
I don't normally like crossover stuff.
Out of a loot box.
I don't always like crossover stuff, but that works. That's just about right for me. You say you got it from a loot box.
Just subtle enough. Yeah, I got a loot box for Christmas about 2 years ago.
Oh, okay.
And this coming in, and it's one of the best T-shirts I've got because the print doesn't come off. Because I hate a t-shirt where it's plastic and the print comes off. This has never come off.
I've got a really nice Asteroids t-shirt. In fact, I bought myself one and Paige one, because often if I buy a t-shirt, if there's like a small one, I'll buy one of the kids one and we'll have matching t-shirts because that's a dad thing, isn't it? It's now become a bit of a thing that I always do. But yeah, what happened? I think it either went in the dryer for too long, or I don't think anyone ironed it. Something happened to it. It wasn't something out of the ordinary, but the print now just basically comes off and it's wrecked. You look at it and it looks like a poster that's been on the wall for about, I don't know, 20 years, and everyone keeps walking past it and rubbing it, and it's like, can you tell what's on my t-shirt if I just slowly lift it? I'm going to slowly lift it up. Sorry if you're not watching this. Yeah, sorry. Hang on.
Oh, is it Sonic?
No, you have to be honest. Don't be sarcastic.
Oh,
hey!
Sorry. It's Zelda.
Hey, it's Mario. Of course, it's Mario. Look at it. It's kind of a very typical kind of Mario t-shirt, but this is also quite good quality. I've had it a little while, and the print is it's very good. It's not. I'm looking at it now because I thought I saw a bit that's wearing. No, it's not wearing it, so it's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, you've been hardworking, and you've got a t-shirt.
Yeah, I've been doing, which I've sent you some. I've been doing some pixel art for a new episode that we'll be bringing out in a couple of weeks, hopefully, whenever this pixel art's done. But spending a lot of time doing that, and it's quite time consuming, but it's quite rewarding.
I've quite enjoyed the little updates, and don't spoil it. Don't give me any more because I'm waiting for the end product, but. The pixel art updates you've been giving me are great, and I really enjoyed seeing Lion-O in the background. I didn't mention him, but I did enjoy seeing him. I was like, "Oh, it's Lion-O!"
That was for you specifically.
Of course it was. I knew it was. I'm like, He loves me. He loves me. He's giving me a Lion-O.
Yeah. Been doing that, making it ready for intro, and I've been trying to write a quiz for Saturday because it's the film night.
Yeah.
So we'll be watching Critters on Ben's back garden and getting drunk. Unfortunately, you're not there this time.
I'm not. No. Yeah, I'm really sorry. I know I didn't explain it, but Karina started a new job, and it's just it's overlapping with stuff. And I'd rather her just. I didn't want it to be like you've got your rota. Tell them you can't do that. And just with the kids, my youngest and my oldest, sometimes it's like war. Sometimes my house only with the oldest and the youngest, it's the kind of clash. But the thing is, they get on so well. But then there's other days where it looks like if they could get hold of a very dangerous weapon, it would go down. Like I don't even know what in my house. You know how it is with kids. You've obviously got your own. But I'd rather not leave them in a position of being, just not happy. I'd rather just stay around. But we will. If I might even watch Critters when you watch it, just so we can chat about it. I might, fuck it. You let me know when you're putting it on. I'll make sure I've got it, and I'll put it on, and I'll watch it at the same time. We'll have a chat about it. If all three of us will have a chat about it. Because Ben was saying that he hasn't seen it, has he?
No. I've seen it, but not for maybe 25 years.
Yes, so I've seen it. Same here. It must be over 20 years ago I watched it, and I really liked it, and I think I'm going to enjoy watching it again. Although we're not covering news today, there is one thing I wanted to mention. I got very excited about seeing the He-Man reboot, not reboot because it's like a follow-on cartoon. Did you ever watch the trailer? Did you watch it?
Yeah, I saw some bits because it's Kevin Smith, isn't it?
It is, yes. The trailer is amazing. It has the I Need a Hero sort of soundtrack. It's so good. Gave me goosebumps. Like, if I was any more emotional, I would have been in tears. It was so good. And there's some news come out of it recently, so I'll follow a few YouTubers, and one of them has mentioned, I didn't realise this, but so apparently the one thing about, so I'm going to talk a little bit about race here, and it depends how comfortable you are, I don't know, but I'll just waffle. So I'm all for, as we use laughing, like just don't talk about this stuff. I'm all for inclusion of any race within anything. It's never been an issue for me. People like to bring it up all the time, and I find the conversation quite fascinating. How many non-white characters do you think there was in the original He-Man? And I'm not even on about Skeletor because he's blue. Don't be stupid. I mean, just like as like if you look at it and go, oh, that character's specifically Japanese. Just as a there was a dude whose name is just fell out my hand, but he had like a gold. What was his name? I can't remember it. I feel I'm disappointed in myself, but he was like one of those. It wasn't even like a secondary character. It was like a tertiary character. He had like a chopping, very racial stereotype, but he was. I believe he might have been Japanese, and he had like a chopping hand motion. I had that one; it was really cool, actually. But if you were going to give us a number, what would you say?
I would say, only because that's the only one I can remember, is 1, and that's Beastman, because he's clearly not a white man. He's a Beastman. But that's in terms of race. I can only remember blue eyes, blonde hair, He-Man.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that might have been just a sign of the 80s and maybe 80s America and just pointing. Although we had brilliant black characters such as, B.A. Baracus or whatever that people loved. And you never watched it and thought, that's a black man. I was just like, there's Mr. T, there's B.A. Baracus. Amazing character. Beloved by millions even now. He's still going, he's still doing his thing. Still got that haircut, I believe. But there was only one specifically black character in He-Man. One. And I only found out about him today. He's got this weird, like, his name was something like Clamp Champ. And he had this, like, metal claw clamp thing on his hand. And to be honest with you, it's a pretty shit-looking character. I think I don't even know if he featured in the cartoon or unless he was in like the comics or whatever. But yeah,
or just even a figure.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if he was a figure. I mean, I've got to Google him now while we're talking. But what they do is they've actually, I think King. Can you remember King Randor, who was the king of the like He-Man's like dad? I'm pretty sure they've messed about with him and changed it, so they're no longer like he's no longer like white. I think they've made him like a black guy. And it's causing a bit of controversy. And I don't want to dig into too much about what I think about that because it always alienates certain people. But all I'll say is I'm not a big fan of race swapping. I'm not a big fan of race swapping. I'm a big fan of including, why not have new characters in there that are prominent? I mean, I know they feel like they're forcing them in. He-Man was mainly white. And if you get a new black character, people go, "Oh, who's this new black character? He was never in it." It doesn't matter. Bring in a new character. Make them quite important. Have them in there so you can have that representation. No issues with that whatsoever. Bring it in. Whatever. I'm sure there's plenty of little kids who will watch this new He-Man. Maybe they've not seen the old one. They'll watch it and they'll be like, that dude's badass. You know what I mean? And that's how it is, isn't it? Bring him in. But there's a bit of controversy to do with them race swapping the sort of like the king, and I understand it. But at the same time, I'm going to watch it and I'll make my own decision on that. And we'll even have a little talk about it when it's actually watched it. Clamp Champ, I remember him. He has his own action figure. Black dude, short black hair, and he's got like this weird clamp thing. In fact, it's an interesting design. I'm just looking at it now, but it's kind of weird and terrible. If that makes any sense, just odd. In the end of the when it comes to like whether it's, I think it's like Transformers or mainly He-Man, not so much Thundercats, but they often have these random fill-in characters. It just looks like one of those. Well, I've seen there's some artwork of him actually, some like fan art, and it looks very cool. Hopefully they maybe they introduce him and do something cool with him. But that was it as far as like news goes, which we weren't going to include, and that's it.
Yeah, without further ado then, on with the show. Enjoy the next bit and we'll see you afterwards. There's VHS and there's Betamax or Betamax or however you want to say it. And one of them was inferior and one of them was superior in quality-wise. But the inferior one, quality-wise, won. But there was a format war, which I've just forgot to mention, between the two. One, Betamax came out first, the year before, and then VHS came a year later. And it looked like Betamax were going to be better because of the quality and everything. But overall, it weren't. It was more expensive to produce. It was shorter in times. I mean, VHS, if you can remember, were like 2 hours long, whereas Betamax were like an hour. I mean, what really can you fit on an hour? Where you need multiple for most films. So them two sort of went head to head. Well, I say sort of, they definitely did. And VHS come out stronger in the long run because it had a lot more. Even though the quality weren't there, I mean, it was only slightly. I mean, I don't understand the way they define the quality. It's
very
sort of the lines.
Yeah, it's very minimal. So it's to do with the resolution, like the lines. But Betamax was only what I can gather from. I'm on a super quick look here. There was actually a Super Betamax as well.
That was only NTSC. That
right? Yeah. Yeah, so the Betamax was a 250, but the VHS, the NTSC, just going off NTSC on these ones, was 240. So it was very minimal.
Yeah, like 10. I mean, how much quality can you get out of 10? I mean, I don't know the magnitude of these measurements, but in overall, 250 and 240, it doesn't seem like a big jump there. So
a good CRT TV anyway, it just smooth it all out regardless with your scan lines and whatnot. So back in the day, it wouldn't have been major.
Yeah, I hope you don't mind me interjecting with, how you said these CRT smooths it out. So I do like my old retro games, as we all know. A lot of this channel talks about retro games. And Sonic, in particular, has a waterfall that comes down. Now, if you emulate it and have it on your PC, it looks crisp, looks banging. You can put filters over it to kind of emulate that old style. But CRTV had something very special about it in the way it refreshed, in the way it handled quick images, and they actually programmed it specifically with the CRT in mind, and it made the waterfall look transparent. And it's very hard to get that through emulation on a PC. CRT does make stuff, although it's not as sharp, it does make things kind of look, it smooths them out. It looks. When you remember CRT, I don't think to myself, I remember watching stuff on CRT on my old TV when I was little, and it looked rubbish. It was all pixelated. I never even saw pixels in like Mortal Kombat.
But it just smoothed all that stuff out. Yeah. Like same with your video image, all them rough edges. It just on an HD TV it shows up, but that like the like different bands that CRT produced, it just smoothed the whole image. So.
Can you remember that midpoint where it was between the decent sort of TVs we have now and CRT with those LCD TVs, and they were just rubbish?
Yeah, they were back projected, weren't they? Like big ones, and they looked horrendous because they were just like a CRT image, but without the scan lines, which were horrendous.
So sorry about that, Nathan. Please feel free to carry on.
Forgot where I were.
The resolution on the VHS being minimal. Yeah.
The two major factors that sort of led to its downfall were cost, and that were covered by Betamax was more expensive than VHS. Not just producing the actual units, but Sony, being Sony, is a little bit tight-fisted, and their licensing strategy just didn't work. It was too expensive to let other companies produce them for them and stuff. Whereas VHS, which JVC were like the big player, it allowed license-free manufacturing of all its. Of how the VHSs were made and everything surrounding it, all the technology and everything, because that lowers the price, but also it makes it more available to everyone. So you get little companies, little film production things. There's quite a big part, but I won't go into it, of porn that plays a big heavier in this. But
you say you won't go into it, but you literally just said the word on here.
We're not. Is that the B? Not the B. The B movie industry is what we're going to talk about, because to be honest, I think it's more interesting.
It's worth a sentence, wasn't it? It was done, and we know that the popularity of that particular genre helps push a lot of things. I think a lot of bandwidth on the internet is due to that. I believe Blu-ray as well had a big fight with HD DVD. Was it? Ben, you probably know a bit more about that, but I believe that was part of that as well. I've come across this information loads of times.
But a lot of B movies were probably pornos anyway, like masquerading as B movies. So
Yeah.
you can lump it in.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get into it in a little bit. About not the film we're watching is not porn, but you could be sort of. Me and Ben sort of had a conversation about it today that most horror films they don't have that little aspect what 80s horror films have, them little two aspects or sometimes ridiculously big aspects, but like yeah. So yeah, porn give it a push. It's worth a little footnote in this story, but it's got nothing that I'm gonna elaborate on. So that sort of squashed Betamax and it brought out VHS as the better of the two, the bigger contender, the more appealing to the masses, and this is where it sort of picked up because I've got it. First video cassette launched in UK in 1978. This for once this is before Lee was born. It was the JVC HR 3300 EK. I don't know why it's the 3300.
What a difficult number that was to say.
Yeah, stupid number for the first ever cassette player. It cost £800 in money then, which if you want to have a guess, Lee, because it's from your era, how much do you think that's worth in today's money?
What's that? Okay, say again, sorry.
It's £799 or £800.
For what? For what was it again? Sorry, I was just laughing at you struggling to say that number. I got lost there, sorry.
Just the cassette player. Not any videos, not anything. Just the cassette player, £800 in their money then.
Oldie timey money.
Old time
What you used to trade in.
Yeah,
so
bargains, shillings.
Goats. So in terms of inflation now, wow, that's I want to say I'm gonna go above what I'm thinking. I'm gonna say about £2,500.
You should have gone a lot above what you were thinking.
I was gonna. All right, okay. I was thinking 3, but that's a lot of money.
Yeah, you should have gone a little bit higher. It's £3,880. I mean, can you imagine buying technology for your home now and paying that amount of money? I mean, I know PCs can cost a lot, but
it's massively advanced though compared to what that is.
Yeah, exactly. That's just a cassette player, and it's,
also, like at that point in time, were they that much available on VHS? Really, to warrant that price?
Yeah, it must have been like a niche, like sort of market that they were catering to.
I mean, a professional market maybe would have gobbled those up. You know, the big TV stations and stuff like that, maybe.
Yeah, that's the only reason I can think behind that, but why it would have been something that expensive. Because it says for home release as well, but I don't. That's not that. People can't just be using nearly a 4-gram piece of equipment in their house just to watch the one odd VHS cassette tape that they've got. But even though they were that price, they smashed it. People went mad for it because for the first time ever you could record TV programs, so people didn't miss TV. And I can remember having to program them in. My dad were obsessed with turning off plugs because they thought everything we were using loads of electric. So you probably had the same. The clock on the front of the VHS that you could never set, the cassette player, just constantly blinked, and you could never set anything to record because it would turn it off. But people loved that. People really got behind that because that's first time it felt like you had sort of control over your entertainment. You weren't restricted because I'm not sure about the rest of the world, but in UK we only had 3 channels. Then bringing it up to 4 as VHS came out. We got Channel 4 in 1982, I think it was.
I was just thinking, when was Channel 4 coming in? Because I remember 4 channels, then going to 5, and then it just being like, what?
It just blew up, yeah. There's just all Freeview channels, Sky, cable, all internet channels now. But then we only had 3 channels when VHS first came out, and it weren't 24 hours. We got TV up until midnight or just before. I can remember TV turning off. I can remember being a kid and getting up and TV had not started yet. You saw the little girl with a weird clown doll.
The chalkboard. We need that on here.
Yeah, flash that up, Ben. That's that creepy girl.
And we need like a boop.
Yeah, that horrible noise as well. Or later on, when it became a bit more advanced, I remember CFAX pages, they'd come up before TV came on as well, selling you cheap holidays or football scores or whatever was showing on there.
Jokes with joke pages. Oh god.
Yeah, bamboozled. I still love all that. But it's it finally people could start taking control of what they watched when they watched it, because you could record stuff if you weren't going to be in at 7:30 to watch Coronation Street or whenever that comes on. You were at pub that day or it was someone's birthday. If you missed it, you missed it. That way it was tough. So now you could record it. You could watch a film 3:00 in the morning if you wanted. If you worked nights and it were your night off, you could finally watch some TV. You could. It opened up a new world for so many people. And then one of the things we've talked about before is video shops, and this obviously caused a massive advent in video shops because you've got all this media that people want to ingest, and they're so expensive to buy. What's the next best thing would be to rent them. I mean, most films, a cassette or a DVD or whatever, you won't watch multiple times in a day, or even in a month. You might watch it twice a year or slightly more.
Well, I've got a little fun fact about VHS and obviously renting it and stuff. Well, in 1987. The actual revenue taken from VHS was more than the box office for the first time ever. I think that may be the only time ever.
Yeah, I mean, so you couldn't even imagine that now. Yeah,
no,
because people like cinema were quite expensive and it weren't doing as well. And then you had the option to watch stuff at home. With video shops, you could just go and choose. With cinema, you might have 3 films on, and they might say you liked horror, and they were all romantic comedies or whatever, or action films, but you wanted to watch an horror. You didn't give your money to the cinema that day. But with a video shop, literally every single genre, there's something for everyone in a video shop. So that was there, and studios were starting to realise that films that didn't perform so well, because there's quite a lot of films. I've got a couple of examples here that might surprise you a little bit. A couple of films that didn't perform very well at the box office, but have since become sort of cult films, or they earned more revenue on VHS market.
This is the film we're going to watch today. Is actually one of these. It's not obviously on a popular level, but it did badly at the box office, but found its life on VHS. But I'd be interested to see what films did bad at box office. And
I mean, can you believe that The Shining, which is regarded as like a masterpiece today, one of the best films ever made, performed so poorly at the box office. I mean, I ain't got the stats on how much it took or the budget or anything. Just that it did a lot better on VHS. It's done a lot better since the box office coming out, when it came out in the box office to from now. And then we've got Blade Runner as well, which I know there's controversy surrounding that because there's different cuts, and you can see.
I know that tanked at box office. That was a stinker.
But then video releases. I mean, I don't know when director's cut or the many other cuts came out, but that give people the option to experience that. I mean, director's cuts of films and extras and extra long versions and stuff that couldn't be in the cinema could then be on VHS. So you could, if you liked a film, you could watch a little bit more of it. Like, not, I don't want to say deleted scenes because that's not what they would have. They would have been on the cutting room floor in VHS time. But it sort of opened it up for that on video shops. I mean, we've got John Carpenter's The Thing, which
classic. That actually came out the same day as Blade Runner.
Yeah, I mean, both of those films are at the same time
classics.
I mean, some people would actually kill to be able to go back in time and go and watch them when they first premiered. And it's to think that there were people like, oh no, I'm not watching that, it looks rubbish, or maybe the world weren't ready for them. I don't know at that time. But VHS, when people can watch them at home, I mean, both of them are films as well. I mean, all three really, Shining. The films that surround controversy or that demand more than one viewing to completely understand them. There's other things going on. There's different themes going on. Just with Thing. There's that whole debate: is there an alien at end? Is he not an alien? Blade Runner: is he a replicant? Isn't he a replicant? Shining: Warwick in his head? Is it ghosts? Do you know what I mean? You need to watch them more than once, and there's little details that you can miss. So VHS, perfect. I can completely understand why they did better on VHS. I mean, in today, if a film comes out of cinema, you can torrent it, or it's going to be on a streaming website or whatever. There's always a message board somewhere full of spoilers, full of little nuances that you've missed and everything. Them days, no internet, no nothing. It were word of mouth, so you had to watch it yourself. So VHS, perfect.
Yeah, what's annoying about stuff that comes out nowadays is it was things like Game of Thrones or weekly stuff like The Mandalorian or whatever. It would come out, and you'd be like, right, I cannot go on Facebook. I can't even go on YouTube because there's always some idiot. There are some news websites which are terrible for it.
Yeah.
A Daily Mail, specifically, if you happen to go on their website, they'll often just go, "Can you believe that they died?" And it'll be like right there.
Yeah.
It will say spoiler, but it'll just be underneath it. And I have this. Some people scan read, so when I read, I tend to look at the whole thing at once and see a lot of what's going off. I'll pick up on words. You can't put spoiler at the beginning because I've probably already seen what the spoiler is if it's in that paragraph. And yeah, you have to avoid it all, don't you? Twitter, everything. It's horrible.
So obviously back in day, this were non-existent. So all you had to go off was your VHS box cover. So going back to the video shop and just perusing the aisles, obviously the ones that we think of now, like nostalgically, probably more than anything, is the horror films and stuff like that. Obviously, you mentioned The Thing and The Shining, both classic horror films. Back in the day, they're the covers and like the content that would drag you in, especially if you were young, like I would have been. It were a bit taboo,
I was young,
like thrilling.
I was young.
Yeah. So
don't laugh at it. It's not funny.
So they're the videos that would bring you into the shop, and the videos which would probably be on the cheaper end of the scale to get you in. So this is like where VHS become a breeding ground for all these B movies and all these trash movies that obviously I love, and is the reason why we're doing these sort of series now. So bringing it round to that, talking about VHS and memories and video shops and all that good stuff and cover art is what's everybody's like. If you got some vivid VHS memories and maybe some favourite box art from
I want to jump
video shops
straight onto box art now. We spoke about this earlier, and while we've been talking, I've been like googling some of my old favourite films which I used to watch when I was younger, and finding the box art for them, and just kind of going, "Oh yeah, I remember how good that was." We spoke about Enter the Dragon, the classic,
the classic box art,
classic poster. I have the VHS Enter the Dragon. It's in my bedroom somewhere, and that is the one where he's holding the nunchucks, and then he's got the cast kind of like behind him, stepping up, aren't they, and getting smaller as it goes back. Brilliant picture. Kind of embodies the film very well. You've even got the woman who I can't remember her name now. Oh my god, I know her name. It's gone. She's at the back, at the top, kind of overwatching it all. And in the film, she's kind of like this kind of like baddie / goodie, but she's kind of overwatching it. She knows what's going off, and it's kind of like looking at it. It's like, oh yeah, she's there. I think she might be there for a reason, or it's the woman who would put her at the back. It was, the 70s after all. You never know, and quite know how they go with this stuff, especially years ago. So I looked up a few films, and the main one I'm going to mention is a Jean-Claude Van Damme. Probably one of his. It's one of my favourite films of his. It's not maybe the ones that you're thinking of, but it's Double Impact.
Oh yeah, classic. One of my favourites.
I love it. I love the two different characters. You've got the one who's a lot softer. Yeah. It's a lot more effeminate. He's like a dancer. He's a martial artist. Ballet, but then you've got the tough guy who's been brought up in Hong Kong who just like knock you out for looking at him. It's that kind of it's that yin and yang which they've purposely done to fit together. And you look at the box art, and I don't know if they remember it, but you've got
Yeah, we're like two Van Dammes.
You've got the rougher one who's like, he's got his gun and he's like, proper steely-eyed, and then you've got the LA one who's kind of like, it's still looking mean, but he's more, his hair's obviously a bit more preened, and you can tell he's got the palm trees in the background.
Yeah.
And you've got the Hong Kong lights behind the kind of the rougher one. I know one of them's called Alex, but I can't remember the other one's name. Ooh. I'm not looking it up. I'm not doing it. I love that cover. Just seeing it, I was like, I remember it. And I remember seeing those posters for it as well.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna mention one more Van Damme, and that would be Kickboxer.
Yeah, classic.
And there's two different covers that you see for him.
The one I remember is like where it's like in his profile, and then there's like another one of him kicking or something.
That's right. So you've got him with his arm at the front, and then he's doing a flying side kick on the side. But there's another one that has the same kick at the back, but he's standing with the glass on.
Oh yeah, with glass.
It's like you can see him like his hands are kind of overlapping at the front, and he's like tensing up his chest.
I know that one.
But yeah, great covers, and I don't know if you really see. I haven't seen a cover recently and gone, that's a good cover. It tends to be like a headshot.
Like, drab.
Yeah, they are drab.
Yeah.
They just a Photoshop picture from film and they put a few names about, and that's about it. Whereas like obviously in 80s especially, we're all mostly hand painted, stuff like that. It was a bit more engaging. Obviously a lot of the videos were to sell you on renting the video or buying the video was solely on the cover. So it had to be a banger, basically.
Yep. Just looking through various ones, there's quite a few. I remember Time Cop is a brilliant one. You've got the portal at the bottom, not the film. I don't think the film's that brilliant, but you've got the portal at the bottom, and then he's looking and he's got his gun up close. It's brilliant. Some good stuff.
So, what about you, Nathan? Have you got any vivid covers or?
I've got two that are in theme. And one that isn't, that'll extremely surprise you. But the ones I remember the most, because I wasn't allowed to watch them, but still watch them, would be Nightmare on Elm Street.
That's a beauty, that first one.
Yeah, that is so good, the box art. I can remember being drawn in when I was in the video shop and like, I need to watch this film. And my mum was like, no, it's like an 18 or whatever. You can't watch this, you'll be scared to death. And my dad just getting it one day, waking me up at like 1 o'clock in the morning and being like, do you want to watch this film? I'm like, yeah, of course I do.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to say no to this.
But then you regretted it straight away.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to have nightmares now.
Yeah, I'm like pissing bed because I'm too scared to go to the toilet and that. And it was like, it would just sit in middle at night. So
I was terrified of those films.
Yeah.
Me too.
I loved it, me.
But it was
why
like
I like horror films now.
Yeah, but it was... No, I did... Okay. Okay, embrace the pause. I was terrified, but I enjoyed it. It was that...
Yeah, that's the best thing. That's like what I can't get back now.
Yeah.
I love being scared.
You're so
like, why can't I be scared now?
So you're like, is it gonna... Is it... And then... Oh, then it'd make you jump or something.
Because my brother just loved all that stuff, and he was a bit older than me, and he just forced me to watch it, and I just hated watching it, but loved it, and now I really appreciate it, and I wish that I could be scared.
So that's the problem, isn't it? Horror films, once you've seen 20 or so when you were younger, as you're older, it's like, they don't scare me anymore. And jump scares don't count.
No, that's bullshit.
That's I can appreciate a jump scare, but that doesn't make a film.
It's just a loud noise that's going to shock you because it's quiet. Yeah. It's not a scare.
I opened my front door. I come home from work, opened my front door. My youngest daughter just went. She's like, "All right, Dad," scared the crap out of me. It's no different from that. Jump scares are fine, but give me a good story. I don't like the one thing I don't like is needles. You know, if you see like anything with needles, that kind of like creeps me out.
Did you like Freddy? I think it were on Nightmare on Elm Street 3 where he's got all needles for clothes with that junkie. Your worst nightmare.
It didn't bother me so much then, but I think it would bother me more now. But I don't like needles.
Well, funnily enough, my other one is Hellraiser. You know, with Pinhead on the front.
Yeah,
Oh my God. That scared
Classic.
me to death when I was a kid. Just the box art, I can remember being so scared of that because his creepy, weird face. The film's quite scary as well, but the box art as a kid looking at that, it made me want to watch it, and I regret watching it, but not now.
So he's holding a box, isn't he? And then it's his face.
Yeah, there's a few.
Yeah, the classic ones. Just he's got the box and it's just him.
Yeah, he's like.
It's the close up. It's the close up, isn't it? That you're on about. Yeah, I remember seeing posters of that when I was. In fact, I've only just remembered it. So when I used to walk to school down, what was it, Rolleston Drive, and there was a small video shop, and I've only just remembered it was there because inside they always used to have this Hellraiser poster. For as long as I can remember, this poster was in there. And I've only just remembered it after you've mentioned Hellraiser. That's what we're on about, memories. And that imagery, that poster, saying it was like, both it came straight back to me. And I was like, oh yeah, shit. That little video shop always used to have it. Yeah, scary that. Yeah. I'm looking at a picture now, it's quite scary.
Yeah, that's what I liked about it. That's why I like going to video shop, because part of the thrill, not knowing that you're going to watch a scary film, but looking at box art and being scared of that.
Absorbing all that, like it definitely adds an influence on you.
My last one is a funny one because I remember this one so clearly because I used to take the piss out of it as a kid. Curly Sue, we had it on video. I don't know if you've ever seen Curly Sue. It's a film with John Belushi, K9 and everything else. He's like an homeless man that's looking after this little girl who's like an orphan, and she gets took off him, and it's like a sad story, but like it's nice. And
I think I've seen this. I've seen this.
You more than likely will do. Ben, if you can, Google the box art, right, and you'll see why. Not the one with the girl on, the one with John Belushi. We used to take the piss out of this. Yeah, because it looks like it's their pictures that someone's cut out and then like Pritt stick them together like it's unnatural, the lean. It's like they're not real.
Oh yeah. I know what you mean.
There's something not quite right there.
Yeah, that little girl couldn't hold up John Belushi. He's like 7 foot, that man. Like, we used to proper take the piss out of that box art. I quite like the film because we had it on video and I watched it so many times as a kid. But that box art, that one sticks with me because
even as an 8-year-old, you knew that were like the physics behind it were impossible.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know what Photoshop were because it weren't invented or anything like that. But I just presumed someone had cut their pictures out, and, like stuck them on together like that because it's unnatural. Just everything about that photo was just wrong. But they're my memories of VHS. It's horrific ones and stupidly funny ones.
Well, I'll just throw out a few. I'm not going to talk about them in depth because we've covered it enough now. But a few of my favourite ones was Scanners, which is, if I don't know if you remember, it had Michael Ironside when he's like all fucked up. Very good box art. Fright Night as well.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah. Scanners. I just had a quick look. Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Fright Night were a classic.
That's
obviously
horrendous.
Fright Night. The vampire sort of like cloud over the house, but the logo for the Fright Night with the two like teeth. That was absolutely classic. And then obviously one I talk about all the time, which is one of my favourite films anyway, and the box art is amazing, is Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Obviously that were a VHS store staple. And obviously all my childhood memories go back to that VHS and the first time I watched it. So that were my introduction to all that good stuff.
Right, brilliant. If you managed to watch through all of that, fantastic. We had a great time talking about it. Some great bits of information. We of course did some googling ourselves to pull up some of that information, especially when it came to like the Betamax stuff and trying to remember some of the old VHS covers that we used to like. It's Google some of your favourite films and have a look at those covers. Maybe you've forgotten maybe you forgot how good they were. Some of them were fantastic, and I feel like we mentioned in that section that a lot of DVD covers, they're just rubbish nowadays. They don't. It's like they don't even try. They're just there, aren't they? Look at all the different Avengers covers. They could all just be the same, couldn't they? Yeah. So now we're going to go on to our little fun game for Nathan. We've already played it with me, and we've already done it with Ben. Green light, rewrite, and erase. We're going to have a look at 3 of Nathan's favourite films. I might not have the 3 best films, his 3 very best favourite films, but we're going to look at these 3 anyway. One of them is going to be kept. It's going to be absolutely safe. Nothing's going to happen to it. It will stay intact. One of them is going to be rewritten. It could be the whole film. It could be some section of it. We're not going to talk about what's going to be rewritten unless you've got any suggestions. And the other one, we're going to erase it. It's going to have not existed, and that's not very good. The first film I'm going to pick is Goonies.
Yep.
I do know that you like this film. Like I said,
it's a childhood favourite.
Yes, I wasn't sure exactly how popular these films were, although I do know one of them is very popular. I wasn't entirely sure how popular they were, but we'll go with Goonies. The next one I'm looking at is Back to the Future, but it's the first one. We're just going to go for the first film.
Right.
I know you're a big fan of the second film. I don't want to do that. I want to pick the first film because obviously the first film has a lot to do. The first film matters because it relates to the other ones, doesn't it? So yeah. And the third film, so Goonies, Back to the Future, the first one, Princess Mononoke.
Ooh. Now, this is a tough one. You see, Princess Mononoke is my favourite Studio Ghibli film, and majorly like my top three of films. I find it hard to sort out my top three.
Same here. We've had this discussion. Depending on what side of the bed I get out on, I'm like, Alien's my favourite, and then I'm like, oh, Interstellar's really good. It's got a better story, but then again, I really like. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard.
Yeah, and then Back to the Future. I do prefer number two. That's me. I like them all. I prefer number two just because it captured my imagination when I was a child of what the future could be, flying overboards and cars and all that.
It was
good, cool stuff.
It was a very good cultural kind of look and experiment in the way futuristic films often tend to be very dystopian and terrible, but that future seemed quite fun and nice, and it felt just like it was just like the 80s on crack, wasn't it? It was just like everything was just pumped up a bit more. The shot, the 3D shot, I love that bit when it's like, and it's like that's
like Jaws 19.
That's scary, so scary. Yeah, it was. Yeah, was it Jaws? Yeah, Jaws. Yeah, of course. Yeah, but yeah, a great vision for the future.
Yeah, that captured my imagination as a child because I loved anything to do with the future, RoboCop or just anything that showed the future as being robots. And then obviously now as an adult I'm disappointed that we ain't got robots everywhere or flying cars like I thought I'm owed.
I mean, yeah, there are prototype flying cars, but they're just kind of ugly, and they're just basically planes that fold into a car. So they've not quite got there with that. I think the problem is gravity, isn't it? Really. We have self-lacing shoes though.
Yeah.
Although it's only very recently that they've become a thing, but even then they're quite expensive. And I mean, I'm happy to tie my laces. It's fine. Yeah,
it's like I see them as like a dishwasher. I'm happy to just wash pots myself.
Exactly.
Rather than so.
It's just a thing.
Same with type of shoes.
It's a thing you do, isn't it? It's not like, oh God, oh my God, I've got to tie my laces.
Yeah. I mean, in all fairness, most of my shoes are already pre-tied anyway, and I just slip them on.
Oh God!
It saves me a lot of time.
Yeah,
but it's with Goonies. This is the toughest one, to be honest.
Oh,
because that for me did that gave me a love of Stephen King. I know it's not Stephen King, but he uses he uses the template of sort of the Goonies. Sort of like gang of misfits, outsiders or whatever, come together to overcome something or accomplish something, like The Stand or it does happen in The Stand, but not a kid version. Stand By Me, that's what I was trying to go for.
I always want to start singing when I hear the words "Stand By Me."
Yeah, well, it's not actually called that. The book that he wrote is called The Body.
Okay.
And the Dark Tower series, which is my favourite book series, and my favourite author is Stephen King. I literally could read anything he's done, and I've mostly done, and watch anything he's ever done.
Yes.
And I think Goonies is what started me off as that's the child-friendly version of Stephen King, because this peril, I mean, it's not really a scary film. It's more just will they do this, but they've got to overcome something, and you root for them, and they have like a sort of bond, and I really enjoy that part of the film. Even now, I could just watch it. I've said to you before, I think Goonies is the perfect film, because it allows you to watch it over and over again, and you still pick up on little things. Same with Back to the Future. so
Especially Back to the Future 2, I find there's a lot of stuff going off there.
Yeah. I mean, I can still watch it now. I don't even know how many times I've watched it. I mean, I would say at least 50 times, and I'll still notice something like, oh yeah, I didn't even realise that were in the background or that were a thing.
I love just to go off Back to the Future 2, I love the little diner. Just the game, the stuff that they've got going off. I find that it's just all of it. Like
with Elijah Wood,
of course, yes.
Yeah, little baby Elijah Wood, isn't it? Yeah, he's in the diner.
Good old Frodo.
But I'd have to go with.
So which one do you keep in? Let's just which one is not going to be
Goonies.
Goonies, straight up Goonies, yeah.
Without a doubt, I think that is perfect. I couldn't get rid of it because then I wouldn't like Stephen King, or I would have found it later, and it moulded and shaped my tastes in things. So I would have to stick with Goonies. But then this is a tough one because luckily Princess Mononoke, it's my favourite Studio Ghibli film, but it's not what got me into Studio Ghibli. It was Spirited Away. If it was Spirited Away, then it would have cut off all the Studio Ghibli films, and I love all the Studio Ghibli films. So I think I would have to rewrite Back to the Future 1. Now, I don't know how I would rewrite it because that is also a perfect film.
It's a very good film.
Yeah, I mean, off the top of my head, I would probably change the ending slightly. If depending on how much I could get away with changing the least. But right at the end of the film, on the first one, he stands up to Biff, punches him, and that's how they fall in love. And then he's riding high. He's got the girl.
I had a vision of him falling in love with Biff. Then I just need to get that out of my head. Sorry, carry on. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, that one's fan fiction. That one, it's not.
That's another story entirely.
Yeah. So he takes Lorraine Baines, and he's there, and they're going to dance to finally do their first dance, which they've been telling the kids about, and then some weird loser, like who would be one of the people that gets bullied. He looks like Sherman, the Shermanator from American Pie. Smooches on over and just takes Lorraine off of him and starts dancing with him, and then that's when it sort of like crumbles again. And I never agreed with that because he's supposed to be like bigged up. Why is he suddenly faltering as soon as he's beat up Biff, who's like hardest kid at school? Nobody should be touching him, but that's probably what I would change on that one. So I don't know what else I could change, to be honest. So I would have to get rid of Princess Mononoke. As much as it pains me, and it's such an influential film. I mean, it's the only Studio Ghibli I can think of that has actual violence in it, because there is blood. People get their head chopped off.
It's brutal, isn't it, at the beginning?
Yeah. But it's not. It's weird. It's not in your face. It's not like it stands out. It just fits the theme perfectly. Like Princess Mononoke is a perfect film as well. So
3 perfect films.
Exactly. I only choose. It's got to be perfect when it comes to me. I only choose the very quintessentially best films.
The tip of the top.
Yeah, the tip of the top, and that I'd have to go with Princess Mononoke.
Okay.
I would have to trash that. That's it was being a difficult one. This. But I can't get rid of Goonies. I can't get rid of Back to the Future because then I'm getting rid of Back to the Future 2 and Back to the Future 3.
I'm going to say the legacy. The legacy of Goonies, the legacy of Back to the Future 1, kind of stands out more than what I can say for Princess Mononoke. From my just the way I look at it. I mean, I've not fallen in love with that film as you have, but I can't. For maybe the average human being who's watched a lot of films will probably go, yeah, Goonies, that's amazing. Back to the Future, amazing. Princess Mononoke, yeah, I've seen it. It's one of the Ghibli films. Ghibli? What am I saying? Ghibli, yeah, I was just fell out my head then. Yeah. It's one of those films. They kind of bundle it in, don't they? It's like a package.
Yeah. But it's the other Goonies and Back to the Future, I watched as a child and I've watched a million times growing up. Whereas Princess Mononoke, I watched that one as, I want to say an adult. I think, I would, about 24 that I was an adult.
Okay. I was like last year, maybe I got adulthood.
Yeah, I'm still waiting.
Still in doubt.
Yeah. Still in denial.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah, but they are my choices. I hope you're happy with those.
No, it was good. That's the end of that, isn't it? Thanks for joining us today. I've quite enjoyed listening to Nathan deliberate those film choices. I've also enjoyed you doing some weird faces. You probably don't realise it, but watching you think makes your face goes all over the place. As with everybody, it's like a sour pucker. Oh no! It's just hilarious. Yeah. Hopefully you've enjoyed stretching your brain for a few minutes, having a think about that. Remember to catch us on YouTube, Spotify, and other podcast platforms such as Google Podcasts. I've been Lee.
And I've been Nick.
And we'll see you again soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.